Hey everyone, thanks for joining me for this video. This is going to be another 2-in-1 tutorial, a day look and a dramatic look. For both looks, I'm going to be using the Wet n Wild Color Icon palette in Pride. You can see there's some shimmery shades and some matte shades. There are only a few subtle changes you can do to take this palette from day to night. You just add on to make the night look. You don't have to totally start over. So let's go ahead and get started with the natural daytime look. First, I primed my lid with the Smashbox Photofinish Lid Primer. So that operates a lot like the Too Faced Shadow Insurance, only it more so neutralizes the look of your eyelids, so it really takes away any sort of pigmentation that's already there on the skin on your eyelids. So then we're going to take our Wet n Wild Color Icon palette in Pride with the greens and blues, and we're going to start out by just taking the sponge tip applicator that comes in there, and we're going to use this shimmery green shade right there. So just kind of pat your applicator into that color, and we're just going to apply that all over our lid. Sometimes the sponge tip is just the quickest way to really get the color intensity on your lids, so don't feel like everything you do has to be with a brush. I actually did an interesting smoky eye the other day just by using a Q-tip, and that includes in the crease and everything, and I was really happy with how it turned out, so I might do a tutorial on that sometime too. But anyway, you just kind of pack that on your lid and then just sort of start to really look down into your mirror and pull that up to your crease just a bit. So that way when we put our next shade on, which is a bluish color, it's going to really blend in nicely there. Okay, so speaking of that bluish shade, I'm going to take my Essence of Beauty Fine Crease Brush, and we're going to go to this pretty shimmery blue that's right here. And keep in mind, this is sort of our daytime look, or our more natural look, so we're going to keep sort of a light hand with these colors, even though these are some of the richest shades that I've ever used from Wet n Wild. Basically, I'm just getting that blue there in the crease, and I'm not working it out to an outer V. As you can see, I'm just overlapping the green, and we're getting a nice kind of greenish blue then. On our lower lash line, we're going to use several colors. Go back to the shimmery green that we put all over our lid, and with an angled liner brush, just kind of get that going right here, right under the first little portion there of your under eye. Okay, and then take the shimmery blue, like we used just a moment ago in our crease, and use that under the rest. Then on our upper lash line, just keeping our liner really soft, we're going to take the matte blue shade in this palette, and take your same liner brush, dip it into that color, and we're just going to go basically all the way to the inner corner, inner to outer corner, whereas I'm doing it right now, outer to inner. And this is going to come off soft. What you could also do, if you really just like to stay with a defined eyeliner look even during the daytime, you could wet your brush here to make it just a little more intense. Then do any final blending you want by taking your fine crease brush, and since you've been working with powders, you know, right here kind of as our liner, you're going to find it very easy to sort of blend them together and make things kind of make sense there on the outer corner. So I'm just kind of running it over the outer corner, running it up, and just getting a nice blended look there. And then you may want to take a fluffier brush too for your ultimate border of that shade. And then for your highlight, there is a shimmery white in this palette. So that would be, oops, that would be right there. So just get a little bit goes a long way on that. We don't want to, you know, totally wash out the area right under our brow, but we're doing just a little bit there to brighten it up. And then take a Q-tip or a small detailed brush and take that same shade and go right around the tear duct area. That added sparkle can really brighten things up during the daytime. And then what I'm going to do is put on some of the Maybelline XXL Pro 24-Hour Bold Mascara. It's a two-step mascara. One side is, it's basically just two different kinds of brushes. That's the first to kind of thicken them up, and then I think the second step is more of a lengthening brush. But what's neat is that they're both black instead of one being a light primer. So I'll probably review this in the future. But anyway, I will put that on and join you with the finished daytime look. So here is the finished look for the more natural daytime look. Just an easy way to wear some, what we all see is typically brighter colors. So I basically just put on that mascara, which adds a little intensity, but it's not too much. I put just a little bit of the step 1 of the XXL Pro on the lower lashes, so it's not too much. And then on my lips, I used my Jordana Easy Liner in Baby Berry, which is a nice kind of medium pink shade. And then I used the Stila Lip Glaze in Ultimate Pink. It came in that kit that was like, I think, an Ulta kit with a bunch of different Stila products in it. So we've got like a nice light shimmery lip. And makeup wise, I mean, I've got on a little bit of bronzer. I've got the Rimmel blush in Peach on. So I mean, it's just a really natural look. But now let's see how to make it more dramatic. What sets the dramatic look apart is going to be focusing on some of the matte colors instead of just the shimmers. Shimmery colors can definitely give you a dramatic look, but when you use matte, you're definitely getting more color intensity out of it, I feel like, especially with this palette. So we're going to use some of those shades, and we're going to do some different liner techniques. So to see how to do it, keep on watching. First thing we're going to do to make this look a little more dramatic is to go in with a black liquid liner on our upper lash line. I'm going to be using Revlon Colorstay in black shimmer. You can use any black liquid liner you want. We just want to lay down a little more of a defined line there. So I'm just going to get some of that out and go from upper to lower, or inner to outer. That's what I meant. And just kind of stay in close to your lash line. It's a little different doing liner after you already have mascara on, but I mean, it's not that big of a deal. And then if you want to do a little bit of a wing, I did just a little bit of a winged out liner look here. So if you're going to do that, just continue your line kind of straight out and up a little bit and just fill it in. Then on the lower lash line, we're going to do some liner as well. Take a black pencil liner. I'm using the Almay eyeliner pencil in black. It's kind of creamy, and we're just going to draw that liner right here. We're only doing it like, I'd say, the outer fourth of our lower lash line, and just kind of connect it up to the end of the winged out liner. So we've just got a little darker base there to deal with. And we'll come back to that area in a moment, but first we're going to line our waterline with this black shade. So just go ahead and do that. Next, we're going to grab our liner brush and make sure you have like a tissue handy or like a makeup remover wipe, because we're going to be going between a few different colors and we don't want them to get too muddied up. We're going to go back to our Wet n Wild palette and go to the matte blue shade here. You'll notice we're using a lot more matte shades for the dramatic look, and it was more the shimmery shades for the natural one. So here is the matte blue, so go to that first, get some of that on an angled liner brush, and just use that to top off the black that we just put down there in the outer corner. And then continue to take that about, let's say, half to 3/4 of the way in. Then we're going to go to the matte green shade right here, so get some of that on your angled liner brush. And we're going to use that on the inner part right here. So get that going on right there. And then we're going to continue it down kind of just underneath what we just did with the blue. So this is where having a really precise liner brush will help you to keep it kind of contained. And this is going to make the look just a little more smoky, because instead of having it end on that defined blue shade, it's like we're continuing it out with the green, and I like that. So now that we've got that, you can see we've got a lot more dramatic, kind of fun looking liner on the bottom, and we're going to go in and do a little bit of work up here on our upper lash line. So for that, go back to your palette. We're going to take this dark matte blue shade. I'm using my Essence of Beauty Fine Crease Brush. Get a little bit of the product on there, and a little bit will go a long way. And we're going to just take this in our crease. We're going to go from inner corner to outer corner here. So you can see it's just really working very easily for us. And we're kind of overlapping some of the greenish blue shimmery colors. So it's really giving a nice unique effect here. And I'm just taking that all the way to the outer tip of the winged liner, and go back for more if you want. And just, you know, as you feel comfortable, just work that up just a little bit higher. And as you have space, not everyone has the same amount of room between their eye and their brow, so just if this is too high up for you, then just go a little bit lower. And as you work with the outer corner, think of just going over that part, so it's all very blended. Next, I'm going to take the larger of the two brushes that come with the fine crease brush. So here's the one we just used. This one is a little bit bigger, and I'm going to go to the matte teal shade. We used that in the liner just a moment ago. Press a little bit of that shadow onto your brush, and then just go over the top of that blue. And you can see we're getting a neat little kind of a blended, more smoky look. Anytime you fade out, when you keep those darkest colors in close to your eye, and then you know, use the lighter color as you go out, you're just going to get a nice kind of subtle faded out look. Keep in mind that these colors are kind of soft in the palette, so you don't need to go scrubbing your brush onto them. You literally just pat the brush onto the product and you're going to have enough, and otherwise you will have fallout. That's the one kind of downside. So you just have to be careful, but it is, I much prefer having, you know, shades that are easy to blend and work with like this. So give your eyes another look. If you want to go over any deeper in the crease, you can go ahead and do that with the matte blue shade. Otherwise, what I'm going to do right now is do another coat of our XXL Pro 24-hour Bold mascara, and I'm going to do a little bit more on the lower lashes as well. You can tell they're a little more intense over here on this side, and then I'll join you with the finished look for the dramatic look. Now here's the finished look for our dramatic tutorial. So as you can see, a little bit of extra liner, and just using the matte shades really goes a long way in intensifying these colors. And I mean, this could work for a daytime look too if you kind of stopped and in certain areas, maybe you don't line the waterline, or you just use one of the matte shades in your crease, and that could be a daytime look as well, just with a little more depth if that's what you're used to and that's what you're comfortable with. The only thing I changed for the rest of my face for the nighttime look was I added a little more shimmer to my lips, and this is a really easy technique you can do just to basically add a little more fullness, the look of more fullness to your lips. And if you have a really light shimmery shade, which we have in this palette, right here is a shimmery white, I'm going to take a Q-tip and get a little bit of that shadow on there, and then I'm just going to roll that Q-tip like this right onto my lower lip. You can see that extra shimmer that's there, and then just kind of take your other finger and kind of blend it in, and it becomes just part of your gloss, really. And you've got a little more shimmer there. It adds a little more fullness to your lower lip, makes it look a little more pouty and full. So I hope you guys enjoyed this look. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's always fun to show two sides to one palette, because so many times the palettes we see in the drugstore can do a variety of looks. So thanks so much for tuning in.